Hello, welcome. We'll begin in just a little bit. We're going to wait for a few more participants to join us.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kathy Bollinger, Managing Director of York County Community Foundation's Embracing Aging. Welcome to our Hahn Home Fund for Embracing Aging 2019 grant-making webinar. I'd like to begin by thanking you for the amazing work that you do to help the people that you serve. And I also want to thank you for investing your time today to learn more about York County Community Foundation's grant making and to giving us the chance to partner with you in your work. I hope that by the end of today's webinar that you will have a good understanding of Embracing Aging's 2019 grant making and that you will leave the webinar with confidence in your ability to apply for funding from us. Okay, we're going to begin with a few housekeeping things. If you click on the audio settings button, which is in the far left lower side of your screen, that will open the adjustment screen for sound. If you click on the question and answer icon at the bottom of the screen, that is where you can send me your questions. You would type in your questions, and you can also click to send it anonymously. At the top of your screen, towards the center, you'll find a black View Options button, and you can use this button for expanding the slides to full view. So with that, let's go ahead and look at the agenda for today's session. We're going to just start by giving a quick overview to what the Hahn Home Fund for Embracing Aging grants to. We're going to spend a majority of our time on agenda item number 2, which is the 2019 competitive grant cycle. We do have some additional grant making opportunities from Embracing Aging and also from the Community Foundation. So I want to share them with you after we talk about the competitive grant cycle, and then we'll move into the question and answer session. And as I indicated, you can either send questions at the end, or you may reach out to me anytime throughout your application process to ask me any questions. I want you to be successful in your grant application, and I'm a resource for you. The Hahn Home Fund carries on the legacy of a woman named Anna Gardner, who over 100 years ago gifted her estate to care for older women. And today, that has grown into the Embracing Aging initiative. Embracing Aging is a long-term initiative that is all about creating a culture change around aging. We want to have a culture and an attitude throughout the community where older age-friendly is so normal and everyday that it doesn't require any special consideration when making any type of decision. So we work to improve how people experience aging, and our result that we're looking for is an age-friendly community, sometimes referred to as a livable community. Either term, it's a great place to grow up and grow old. The fund grants to, and you can see the 4 bullet points there, and I just want to spend a couple minutes going through each one. It grants to programs that are serving people age 50 and older. Now, that being said, I can tell you that intergenerational and multi-generational programs are the most compelling. Research has showed that quality interactions between generations has the most positive impact on attitudes of aging. So anything that you can do to bring different generations together in your program will help make it more compelling. When you look at bullet point B, you can see that we grant to an expansion of an existing program, new programs. We also award grants for research, planning, pilots, consultation, and of course, technical support. Now, sometimes when people see expansion of an existing program, they mistake that for operating expense. This isn't for operating expense. An expansion of a program is adding a new component to an existing program, or reaching a new audience, or delivering the program in a different way. Now, when you look at bullet point C, you see that the fund's intent is proactive. It's to help people as they age versus helping people in advanced stages of aging and decline. We recognize there's an important need for support for programs that do help people in advanced stages of aging and decline, but unfortunately that's not the intent of this fund, and therefore we have limited dollars available to help in programs that address this population. So if your program idea that you want to apply for falls into this category, I strongly encourage you to reach out to me before you apply. And then you can see D, typically our competitive grants run for 1 year, but it can be longer based on scope. We recognize that sometimes the timeframes might not align best with your program. And because we want you to be successful, we are flexible with the timeframes. The Hahn Home Fund has 3 focus areas. The first is that we want to enhance the quality of life of older adults. And we do this because we want older adults to have an increased sense of purpose. And we know that having a sense of purpose is so important to aging well. The second focus area is creating age-friendly physical environments. We want to make certain that people can go and have access to places throughout the community and have ease of mobility. And we also want to help people prepare to age in community. We recognize that as people age, they need to be thinking about where and how they want to live as they grow older. And we certainly want to make certain that they know where to go to find the resources to assist them. So next we're going to move into the competitive grant cycle, and I want to begin by speaking about eligibility. And you can see a link on the slide here to go to a full list of eligibility requirements. Grants are awarded to nonprofit organizations, to government agencies, and public school districts. A nonprofit organization does need to have a 501c3 status for at least a year. We also grant to services that are provided directly to York County, not outside of York County. And our funding is not for endowments or capital campaigns. It's not for budget shortfalls or normal operations, as I mentioned earlier. We do not fund association dues, debt requirements, and we do not fund financial assistance to individuals. Now, applicants can use a fiscal agent if you don't meet that criteria. And if you have questions on that, please reach out to me. And I also want to say that applicants can partner with for-profit entities in your application. So keep that in mind. And you can see at the bottom of the screen, YCCF's inclusion policy, which we use in our work. This is the schedule for Embracing the Aging's competitive grant cycle. You can see that the applications are due on April 26th. I do want to point out number 3 and number 4 on the slide. So what happens is when we receive your application, the YCCF grant making team reads them. And we read them because we want to come up with a list of questions to help clarify your narrative or budget so that it is as clear and concise as possible when it is sent to our grant readers. If we have questions about your application, we will send them to you on June 10th. And then you will have until June 28th to respond. So you may want to mark some time on your calendar to assure that you have the time set aside to respond to these questions. If you don't receive a list of questions from us on June 10th, it simply means that we didn't have any and your application will move forward as submitted. Just like last year, we are once again awarding 2 types of competitive grants. Small grants are up to $6,000 and impact grants are larger than $6,000 but capped at $20,000. So if you want to expand an existing program or maybe test a new one, then a small grant may be for you. But if your idea is more complex and evolved, then an impact grant might be more appropriate. The thing to keep in mind is this year, the Hahn Home Fund for Embracing Aging is awarding up to $60,000 through competitive grants. So if you are applying for a grant over $6,000, I strongly encourage you to reach out to me before you do your application because it is going to need to be extremely competitive to be awarded. So this is a slide that just shows some examples of grants that we have awarded through the Hahn Home Fund in previous years, and it kind of gives you a sense of what a small grant might be used for. And you can see we have programs. The third bullet down there is for a feasibility study. You can see there's an intergenerational program that we've highlighted. The next slide highlights examples of impact grants, grants up to $20,000 over the years that we've awarded. And I'd just like you to use these slides as guidelines for what type of grant you might want to apply for. But again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. This year, for the competitive grant cycle, we are accepting applications that focus on one of the 3 focus areas from the fund that I mentioned earlier in the presentation. And the outcome that we want to achieve is enhancing quality of life for older adults. Now, when you apply, you will be asked 2 questions. You will be asked, why is this program needed? And what is your organization good at? Like, why are you the best organization for taking on the program that you're applying for funding for? For the question, why is the program needed? I encourage you to think about a couple of things. First of all, I encourage you to think about how older people experience aging in York County. And I encourage you to reach out and ask people age 50 and older, what's aging like for them? Hear their stories. What is it that they need? What is it that they want to improve their lives? But then I also like you to think about your own aging process, regardless of what age you are. How do you experience aging in our community now? And how do you want it to be as you grow older? And then I'd like you to use this knowledge to really be thinking about program ideas that you want to apply for. And I can tell you that if you demonstrate in your application that you've talked to people who are age 50 and older and have gathered some of their feedback, that's going to help make your application more compelling. Now, for the question, why is your organization the best one to run this program? The grant readers are going to want to see that the program aligns and makes sense with your mission and your scope of your work and your skill set, and also that you're partnering with others who have the expertise if that is not currently a part of your organization. So how to apply? You can apply directly from York County Community Foundation's homepage. You would go to the Grant Seekers tab at the top and hit Grant Programs. And once you do that, you scroll down to the middle of the page where you'll find Embracing Aging Grants, and you click on the blue button. And after you do that, you want to scroll down to the bottom of that page, and you'll find a blue button marked Online Grant Application. So you can either use that button or go directly to the URL that you see there. Either way is going to take you to the home page of our online grant system. And here, if you have applied for funding before through us, you would add your email address and put in your password, and you would have access to the Embracing Aging Competitive Grant application. If you're new to applying for funding, then you would go ahead and create a new account. Layla Boyce is our grant administrator, and she will answer any questions having to do with using the online grant system. If you have questions about content, you want to reach out to me, but questions about using the online system, you would reach out to Layla. Now, I wanted to show you this. This is actually taken directly from the application. When applying for a grant, you're going to be asked to define an indicator, along with a method of measurement and a degree of change. Now this year, for Embracing Aging applications, an indicator has already been defined. And it is, and you can see it there under choices, increase in the number of older adults with general well-being and sense of purpose. So when you get down to indicator number 1, you need to type that as your indicator. We tried to have it automatically populated, but unfortunately the system was not able to do so. So that is your indicator number 1. So then from there, you would determine how you will measure this indicator and what degree of change that you want to see. And you can see on the sheet there, a method of measurement is how are you going to measure it? What tool are you going to use? And the degree of change is the percentage or numerical evidence of the change your program will make. Now, one thing I want to say about the degree of change, we encourage you to be realistic. Don't overpromise. Realistic expectations demonstrates to us that you have a true understanding of the challenges and opportunities your program provides. So that is for the first indicator. Now, you may add up to 4 additional indicators, but it's not a requirement. If you are applying for a research grant, a planning or a consultation grant, technology support grant, please reach out to me and we'll discuss how to best complete this section of the application. Now, here are some tips. Please go ahead and test the Fondant, which is our online application system, email system, so you make certain that you receive necessary information from us, because that's how you'll be communicated to about your grant application. Number 2 there is a list of some of the documents that you might want to start gathering now that will need to accompany your application. But number 3 is the thing that I want to spend the most time on. And I am strongly encouraging, and we do this with every application, that you have someone else read your application to see if your story, your narrative is clear, compelling, and consistent. You have to realize that the group of volunteers who will be reading and scoring your application, they do not eat, live, and breathe in your world. They might not even be very familiar with your organization or the services that you provide. So having someone who isn't familiar with your work read your application will help ensure that it's telling the story you want it to tell. This is an actual copy of the scoring rubric that the committee will be using. And you can see how, what they're going to be looking for, and that they have a scale of 1 to 5 to rate it on. So when you do have someone else reading your application, give them a copy of this and have them fill it out and let them tell you, what was strong and what areas might need a little bit more work. Once again, this year, we're offering workshop sessions, which are 20-minute one-on-one sessions with a member of the grant-making team here to workshop your grant idea. You can see the dates are March 6th and 7th. After today's webinar, you will be receiving an email with a link to sign up to be a part of a workshop session. We strongly encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity. If these dates don't work for you, that's okay. Reach out and I will meet with you separately. When we do meet, though, there is a form called a grant application worksheet that we really would like you to complete and email back to us before we meet so that we can maximize our time together. Giving us a chance to review what you're thinking and come up with some questions before our meeting will assure that we're making the most use of our time. Now we have some additional resources available on our website that you might want to check out. Again, you go to Grant Seekers, scroll down to Applicant Resources. Once you click on that, you'll see a series of videos. There's one on how to use our application system. So if you're new, that might be good for you. Or if you're new to grant writing, there's one on how to write a grant. So that might be a video that you want to check out. And again, remember that Layla Boyce is your contact if you have any challenges navigating our online grant system. If you scroll down a little further on that resources page, you're going to find some reports. One is the 2018 Community Health Needs Assessment, and the other is York Counts. These are both reports contain some important data that might help you in creating your statement of need and giving you some quantitative information to share in your grant application as to why your program is needed. And then if you scroll down even further, you're going to find the Embracing Aging portion. Right now, the grant rubric that I mentioned earlier is posted. After today's webinar, you will see a slide deck from our presentation, as well as a recording of the webinar if you'd like to share it with anyone else. So that was the competitive grant cycle round. Now let's move on to some other grant opportunities. And the first is what we call partnership grants through Embracing Aging. And as you look and you see the bullet points of what makes a grant a partnership grant, one of the things to keep in mind is that partnership grants typically will be a new approach to something, and it will have several people or organizations working together in new ways. And you will also find that in partnership grants, YCCF will have a high level of engagement throughout the process. Now this year, for Embracing Aging Partnership Grants, we're focusing on the two other focus areas of the fund. So partnership grants are going to be used to create age-friendly physical environments, but I will mention to you that the priority under that is housing. Specifically, we want to increase the number of adapted, affordable, and quality housing options here in York County. So that's the focus of the partnership grants under age-friendly physical environments. And then we also have the focus on helping people prepare to age in community. So if you have any ideas or want to learn more about how you might be able to become involved in these two partnership grants, please reach out to me. Embracing Aging also has something called Timely Opportunity Grants. Timely opportunities are for program ideas that arise outside of our competitive grant calendar. They're often, but not always, limited to $5,000 or less. So if you do have a program that comes up, whether it's this summer or fall, please let me know, and we can see if it's a good fit for a Timely Opportunity Grant. Here at the Community Foundation, we have something called the Memorial Health Fund. And this fund is used to improve the health of York County, whether it's physical, mental, social, nutritional. It's really meant to improve the overall health of the community and the county. They have a competitive grant cycle. It will open on May 22nd, and awards will be announced on November 18th. Lisa Levin is the staff person for that, so I strongly encourage you to reach out if you want to learn more, and definitely keep May 22nd on your calendar to participate in her grant-making webinar. We also have the Fund for York County. But this fund's focus areas are education for disadvantaged students, workforce development, and downtown or neighborhood revitalization. Now, their competitive grant cycle kicked off earlier. Actually, I think it was in December of 2018, and it closes here in a few weeks on February 20th. But they also have partnership grants and timely opportunity grants. So if you have any ideas that fall into any of those focus areas, again, I encourage you to reach out to Lisa Levin. We also have some grant opportunities around environment, whether it's agricultural and land preservation, Codoris watershed, or sustainable energy. And Frank Grumpine is our staff contact for these programs. And if you'd like to learn more about them, please reach out to him. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for any questions that you have. I certainly want to thank you for your participation today. And at this time, go ahead and use that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to send me any questions. At this point, I see that no questions have come through yet. Again, I will keep this open for another minute or so if you'd like to send me a question. But please remember, I'm available anytime throughout the process, so please either send me an email at cballinger@yccf.org or by giving me a call at 717-848-3733. So I do have a question that came through. It's, if we receive a grant for the first year, how likely would it be funded for the second year? So if I'm understanding the question, if it's for the same program, it would not be eligible unless it's an expansion of the same program. If it is that you would be submitting an application for a different program, as long as you're in good standing with the prior grant, meaning that you have completed your interim and post-grant reports through our online grant system, you would be eligible. If I am not answering that question fully, please go ahead and give me a call, and I'm happy to speak with you directly in case I'm misinterpreting it. Thank you. I just got confirmation that I answered it the way the person had wanted, so thank you for that. Any other questions before we wrap up today? If a grant is approved, when are the funds dispersed? So the decisions will be made on September 16th, and you would probably receive your funds the first week of October. First or second week of October. So you would want to have your program starting around that time. Any additional questions? Thank you so much, everyone, for your time today, for your interest in the Embracing Aging grant cycle from our Hahn Home Fund. And again, please reach out with any additional questions. And thank you for participating.